Hi, in this video, I just want to expand a little more the functionality of the student class. I just want to add a few more manipulations using like date time because we have not covered that before in class. And that'll help you when you do your labs also. Let me go to my student class and then create a couple methods that I think will be useful. So one would be is good. So this is going to tell us if the student's academic standing is good. Okay, so you have to return some default value because I want this to be a bool. So is academic standing good? It's a public method, which means we can access it from the program.cs. Usually based upon the GPA, a person's standing, academic standing is determined. So I'm going to add code here saying if GPA is more than 2.5, for example, then I'll say the standing is good. Academic standing is good. Otherwise, it is bad. So let us see. We don't have any field to save that, so it is just going to return that value. So GPA So I don't have any field that holds the status or the standing, so I'm okay with this. So if I call this method from my program.cs, I would know if the student is in good standing or not. So that's one method. The other one can be to calculate the GPA. So double, it's going to return double. So let us say every semester there are 5 courses. Remember that we are dumbing this down really just so we have some interesting functionality. So this is not going to be how you would implement it in real time because you would have like courses as a list and you would have a course as an object which we'll create in future. For now, as let's assume that there will be 5 classes, 5 grades will be passed to this particular method, and then depending on that, it's going to return the value of the GPA. And let's at this point assume that all of them have 3 credit hours. They are all equal credit hours. So we can say so let's make this simple and like assume that what we get is GPA is going to be grade 1, grade 2. It's always good to write code in the simplest possible manner and then refactor it to make it work for your situation. And then we are going to return GPA. So that simple method gives some interesting functionality to our program. The third thing I want to do is like the academic, the status, the current status. So we said active, inactive. So usually based upon the last date of attendance, if a person has not done anything for a semester or has taken a break, we consider that as a break and the student is not actually active. So in that sense, we can say student is inactive. Or if they recently attended like 6 months before, then we can consider them as active. So this one, in order for us to know when they last, we know when they attended. We just want to know from today's date, how long has it been since they attended. This is a date time variable. So I wanted to show you how to use the date time variable. So for any kind of manipulation. So, well, let's say public status, right? So void so maybe that's kind of like what the method is. We don't need to pass any parameter because we already know the last date attended. So we don't have to request for any data. So that's why we don't have any arguments. And this method doesn't have to return anything. It is going to set the status. So let's think about it. So we want to find out last attended minus today's date. So let's think about it. So take today's date, date time dot today. So that is today's date minus last attended. You take those two dates variable. So if you think about it, this is date time, this is date time. When you subtract that, you can save that in something called as a time span. Okay, this variable is going to be called time span. It will hold how much time interval passed between these two dates. So we want to know how many total days have passed between this date and this date. Whatever is the result, we want to convert that to days. Okay. So if we don't do this, so you can do this way, or you can directly say dot total days and make this into an int. Both are possible. Up to you how you want to do it. So this would, let's see, double. This returns double, so this has to be in double. So both are acceptable ways of doing it. So all you have to remember is when you subtract dates, it's going to be an interval. And from there, you can either get days, total days, whatever it is that you want. And then use that for calculation. So I want to know if the days is greater than 180. Then the status is inactive. Else, status is active. So the critical thing is that you know how to subtract days. Let's see what's the error now. My ID is very slow. It just takes a lot of time. So there was nothing wrong in the code, but it still just kept saying the message. Okay, so it's a void, so I'm not returning anything from this method. Those are my three methods. Let's test that real quick. So let's do that with student 3. So we said, is academic standing good? We are asking that question. So if we go into this method, so it returns a true or false. So if academic standing is good, then we want to say console.writeLine else we want to say it's not good. Okay, so that's the first method that we wrote. So for us to be able to test the academic standing, We have to test both ways. So one is that um, the GPA, we have to set the GPA. We have not set the GPA yet, did we? Yeah, GPA is 3.0. If the GPA is 3.0, the academic standing will come back as good. So it's going to go through this one. So the next one I want to check is if S3 dot. Well, let's do the calculate GPA. So now I'm going to change the GPA by giving different grades. So I'm going to give 3.0, 2.7, 2.1, 2.2. So now this person scored really bad. Yeah, S3 dot calculate GPA. So this person scored bad. So so if we call academic standing now, we will get academic standing is not good. Okay, the next thing is determine current status. So let us see. Date of enrollment, did we set the last date? We have not set the last date, so let's set that. S3 dot last attended. So let's make this person as somebody who attended the class a very long time back, 2005. And then if we call determine current status, S3 dot determine current status. So let's add one line of code. Okay, so let's see if this works as per our expectation. Start the code. So now the program is up and running. I got my first intro message. So now I'm going into the method called academic standing. Good. So what is the GPA right now? GPA was 3 to begin with. So we are in good standing. So now we calculated GPA. Let's go inside. This is not a good GPA, I think. So let's see what happens now. The second time we go into the method, the GPA is 2.4. So which is going to go into the false situation. So it's going to say academic standing is bad. So first time it was good, second time it is not good. Okay, now I sent the last attended date and then I'm calling the determine current status. Let's step into this method. So let's take a look at what's going on with the date time dot today. So you can see today's date is 4/8/2020 and then it also has the time set to 12 a.m. Last attended is going to be 1/1/2005, 12 a.m. So it's going to subtract these two. So when these two are subtracted, The number of days, the total days is 5576 because it's a long time back. So the days is going to come back as 5576, which is more than 180. So the status is going to be inactive for the student. So for example, I just want to show you one more thing. So if you want to take last attended or any type of date time, and then you can say, give me the month, and that will give you the month of the last attended. You can say, give me the year. That will give you the year of the data. And then you can say, give me the day. Okay, all of these are possible. Let me show you one thing. We can go to the person class and add one more thing to the person class, the base class. Okay, we can add, is it your birthday? Public bool is birthday. Let's say is birthday. So it is somebody's birthday when today's date matches the month and the year of the date of birth. So it's going to return false, the default, and then let's go and do the manipulation. So we are going to compare the month and day of today with date of birth and then return a true or false. So let us take today's date of birth dot day, oh sorry, date of birth dot day. Okay, that will give you the day. So if date of birth dot day is equal to date time dot today dot day, so today's day and date of birth dot month is the same as date time dot today dot month. If these two conditions are met, we will return true. If these are not met, we will return false. So I wrote this in the person class because every person that is born will have a birthday, whether they celebrate it or not. And the criteria is that the current date and the current month should match with the date of birth's date and the month. So if it's April 8th, that's the birthday, then it has to match with the date of birth. Only the year can be different. So in order for us to be able to do that, and that is why I did this. So date of birth dot day is equal to date time dot today dot day. Date of birth dot month equal to date time dot today dot month. So it's a Boolean, which means we have to return true or false. The build was successful. Let me just go and make a call from both places. Let's call this from the person p2 dot is birthday. If it's birthday, we will say so for person 2, we are making a call and then we'll do it for the student 3. Okay, so let us see the birthday for the student, date of birth. We did not set the date of birth yet, so let's set it now. Let's make it this person's birthday. Sorry. So I'm trying to match it to today's date so you guys can see how the change works. But the code will not hard code the day or month or anything like that. It is just comparing because today happens to be 4/8 and the date of birth happens to be on 4/8. It is going to give me a happy message, a happy birthday message. Tomorrow, I will not get that for this data. Let's step into this method. Is birthday. This is in the person class, not the student class, but we are still able to access it because of the inheritance. So date of birth dot day is 8. Today is day is 8. The month is 4. Month is 4. So it's going to say happy birthday. Okay, so the purpose of this particular example is to make sure that you understand how to use the manipulations with date time. There is a whole bunch of, methods and properties, everything available for you that is already written for you. This date time is a structure, and then it has all these pre-built functionality that comes. So please don't reinvent the wheel. Go through the materials that I provide, the reference material, and make sure that you are using some of those for your labs. Thanks.